उसके अलावा what is the entire system of performance management?
One more
Ma'am,
request. I think Rabindran sir may not be understanding Hindi. So you
Right,
have
sir,
to
I
take
know.
care.
So yeah, I do. That's why both the languages.
So sometimes, in a flow we talk in Hindi, but maybe he may be
Yeah,
stuck in ki what exactly these guys are talking. So please do take care of him. Thank you.
sure, sir. Yeah. Yes, Dheeraj, you were saying something.
Yeah,
Ma'am,
Sorry?
performance management is a cycle,
Hmm.
that allows employees to assess their performance.
Right. What else?
Ma'am, that does not mean that about their task, but on their all aspects, how much they are how well they are performing, how is their behavior issue with their team, how they are handling the situations, and there are many more things and it is performed by the managers. Suppose if someone is working in the marketing team, so the marketing manager can analyze the performance of that employee. If I am working
Absolutely.
in HR, so it can be
Absolutely.
performed by the managers.
So it's their functional heads who has to take the responsibility of their
Yeah,
performance.
but
True.
it can be performed in strategically way, because the main function of the HR in performance management is to see the management how they are performing their task in the organization. Is they follow the any rules and regulations? Is they do not violate any rules and regulations of the organization? Is they do not do any biasness with other persons? Suppose I am from South India, so some manager is saying that we are not giving the rating up to the mark to you. So the fair practice is performing by the management in the organization. So that is that HR can see them in a strategic way as the performance management system.
Very well said. Yeah. Very nice. Anybody else? Ravi, do you want to say something?
So, in short, it is a measurement against the set goals, measurement of one's performance against set goals.
Absolutely. So that's called performance evaluation. Why are we calling it a system? Like, he explained really well, Anjanji explained really well that it becomes a system when we are looking at various aspects of performance management. Right? For example, appraisal is just one, then evaluation, right? Then seeing that who is actually getting involved into designing what kind of method for evaluation is suitable for my organization. Right? Because every organization's culture is different. Every organization in how they actually perform every task is very much different. So we have to analyze and see what kind of method will work with the employees as per their engagement, as per the work that they are carrying out. And that is why it becomes performance management system. And it doesn't end there, that we have given you salary raises, promotions, and then it ends. Then performance management system also talks about identification of training needs, which is why somebody wants to, because once you've done appraisal, evaluation, you can find out easily what is missing in each person. अगर सपोज धीरज है, हमें पता चल रहा है धीरज का अप्रेजल लेने के बाद that he filled up this form, 5 KRAs के अंदर उन्होंने 3 बहुत अच्छे से किए हैं, पर 2 में कहीं ना कहीं there is a problem. So how are we going to identify those 2 problems for those 2 OKRs या KRAs? Identifying those problems, then telling him that this is the training that you will have to undergo. This is a development plan for next 3 months. We are going to focus on you so that your performance next year is 100%. Right? So this is how the training and need also gets involved into performance management system. Then it becomes the entire system, and then it talks about continuous improvement. Yeah, continuous development of employees in the organization. Right? So then this cycle becomes a circular form, right? Takes a circular form and then it becomes a continuous function, right? So very well, like you said, the definition says that performance management, the development of individuals with competence and commitment, working towards the achievement of shared meaningful objectives within an organization with support and encouragement of their achievements, right? Another person, Walters, talks in his books about performance management system as directing and supporting employees to work as effectively and efficiently as possible in line with the needs of their organization. So very simplistically, they have put it that we are talking about their efficiency, we are talking about their effectiveness, also shared goals and achievements with support and engagement of each other. Right? Now, why do we do performance management? Like most of you have said, and I also said that we have to empower, motivate, and reward our employees. Till the time you're not doing that, our performance management system is always a weak link. To make it more strengthful, to make it more strong, what we need to do is need to empower them, motivate, and keep them rewarding so that people feel valued within the organization. वहाँ जहाँ जब आप मेहनत करके रखते हैं ना, पैसा तो मिल ही रहा है, अदर देन सैलरी, अगर आपको रिवॉर्ड मिलने शुरू हो जाते हैं, आपको थोड़ा मोटिवेशन मिलता है, थोड़ा सा एम्पावरमेंट मिल जाता है, देन यू स्टार्ट फीलिंग दैट यू आर ऑन द in the right track. You're in the right organization, fitting really perfectly well. Then second point says that aligning everyone's individual goals to the goals of the organization. So now imagine that you 5 people are there in an organization, and all of you are working in an organization for your own individual goals. Maybe Ravi Chandran ji wanted some challenging job, that's why he joined this organization. Anjan wanted that I need to get some very good salary, financial package should be really good. Suman joined because she wanted to make a difference in the organization and she wanted to show people that I can do really well. So individual goals can differ. But what about the organizational goals? In terms of managing and taking care of your individual goals, the organization should also need to ensure that all of you have joined to complete the goals of the organization also, which is your daily task and responsibilities assigned to you. Right? Then आता है third, proactively managing and resource performance against agreed accountabilities and objectives. Like I just said, that whatever you have agreed upon while you join an organization, you agreed upon that I am an MBA HR, so these are going to be my responsibility for at least 1 year. I am going to take care of these accountabilities. Managing resources is also a part of it. Managing other things is also a part of it. So it becomes an objective that you are handling everything as part of your responsibility proactively in the organization. Performance management system just enhances it. So for next year, when your appraisal has been done, you actually start doing it and enjoying it so much that you know that if I do my job responsibilities while taking more accountability, ownership, I become, I'll be praised in the organization. My organization will grow more, or my department will grow more. There are people who are reporting into me, they will feel happy about it, that I'm taking good care of them. So this becomes a very, very important factor of how why performance management system is being done. Then fourth point talks about alignment of personal individual objective with team, department, and divisional corporate plans. So similar to the second point, but here we're talking about department and functional goals as well, right? So your goal with functional goals and then with the entire corporate objective has to be matched together. And this is the role of human resource managers in the organization to align these three things. Right? That's what their role is. We will come to that as a functional head. What would be your role when you will be taking care of performance management system in your organization? Then next point talks about feedback. So it's utmost important thing. Very, very important. You have to just mark it in a red ink or green ink that fair and accurate feedback, very importantly, has to be given to everyone. You cannot just go ahead and just talk about very rudely to people and tell them that, okay, this is what you've done in the entire year. Your performance has been really bad. You're not really doing good. You cannot talk in that way. So there is a method of giving feedback. We will come to that as well. And this is how we want to motivate the people in the organization. So you as a manager will have to become a coach and a mentor rather than just coming directly purely as a manager talking about it, you're not performing. Right? Then systematic approach to organizational performance, aligning individual accountabilities to organization targets and activity. Now performance management system को एक approach की तरह use करते हैं. We create a systematic way of how needs to be done. Right? You will see how I'll take you through the process step by step, how we actually create performance management system for organization what are the various methods that you can use, and then how we actually implement them in the companies as well. Then last point talks about maximizing the potential of individuals and teams benefit themselves and the organization, focusing on achievement of their objective. So obviously any organization do performance management with one objective very clearly, that everybody's performance should be evaluated and we should be doing something so that they can increase or focus more on the achievement of their own particular goals that has been assigned to them, and that too very very nicely, right? Without facing any problems in terms of the environment, without facing any problems with the culture, with the people, with any kind of conflicts. That is the ultimate aim of doing performance management system, right? So any points, any confusion? Keep moving ahead.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Perfect. So performance management cycle. Now how it works. So what do? We do planning first of all, right? So planning means there are a lot of things that comes. Then second we do progress review, and third we do evaluation. And then this cycle becomes a continuous cycle. So planning means what are the things that is involved? What must be achieved? So suppose if Dheeraj has joined the organization, we will line up certain questions for Dheeraj that this is what you have to achieve in the organization. These are your goals in this company, right? Then to what standard? Now you have to give a standard to it. You cannot just tell Dheeraj that you have to achieve these goals or accomplish these goals. You have to give a standard that you have to achieve these goals with 85%, 90%, certain things. So you have to have a bar, you have to have a benchmark which sets with everybody in the organization so that they can compare and then they can set that standard for themselves. Right? Third आता है what competencies are needed. Now you have your job responsibility, your qualification is there, but what are the competencies that is required to do your job? If you have certain competencies available with you, then you have been hired in the organization. But if you need to learn more, you need to really adapt to more competencies. What happens then? Then you will be given training, and that is where the training part comes into the picture for improvement plan. Then fourth is what development is needed. Now competency is given as a skill training. What development means, what is your personal growth and development is happening in the organization or not. What needs to be done by you, by the organization or together, so that you can really create your standard of plan, you can really increase your social status, your different status in the organization so that you can achieve more, you can accomplish more, you can earn more, your benefits gets increased, and your social status and status in the company also increases with designation and other things as well. So this is how the planning is being done. Then आता है progress review. So how do we see the review of the progress, whether somebody is really performing well or not, is through asking this question. First of all, is a self-evaluation. So how am I doing in the organization? Is the responsibility that is aligned with my job role, am I really doing it correctly or not? Right? What is the kind of work I have done in the entire year, or if it is a 6 monthly progress review? So this review has to go on a very very faster basis in terms of regularly, and that too on a monthly or maybe bi-monthly basis to see whether we are really performing or we are on the track or not. Because ultimately what happens if you are working in an organization, right? It's a question to all of you. Suppose you joined today, and after 1 year on August 1st, I ask you this question, okay? You have joined my organization, this was your responsibility, and I feel that you've not done your responsibilities at all, so I'm not giving you a raise. How will you feel at that point in time?
Ma'am, because you cannot give surprise feedback to the employer. Day to day, it is a day-to-day cycle. You can give
Right.
feedback to the employees.
Absolutely. And it day to day becomes difficult sometimes because the larger organization cannot accommodate daily things. But at least monthly, weekly reviews are very important to be there so that people can learn and grow. Right? They can learn on a daily, like on a weekly, monthly basis and understand that this is not the right track I am in. I need to change my ways. I need to change my methods. I need to change my uh, thought process in terms of bringing more results into the organization. And this is where the manager and the functional head becomes your mentors and coaches. right? And also HR departments, right? Understood? Then second point says in progress reviews, can I do better? So once you know that there is a problem in my self-evaluation, what can I do really to make it more better? Right? So this is the way then you will ensure that I'll take feedback from my seniors. That's way I can learn. I need to go undergo training. Maybe my skills are not up to the mark as per the job responsibilities assigned to me. So all these things comes into the picture, and that's when organizations start again the evaluation and planning process for the people. Then third point says, does anything need to change? Now, it's not necessarily that every time a human is at mistake in the organization in terms of your performance is not efficient or your effectiveness is not 100%. Sometimes the job responsibility by the organization given to you are not correct, right? They try, and what most organizations do is they try to give so many things to the people that they cannot achieve it. So that overachievement thing or over accomplishment thing really drives hard their brain. And when the brain starts drying hard, what happens? We start getting stress and anxiety and all of things, and 100% sure when you're working in that cycle regularly round the clock, there are chances that you might have a breakthrough, right? Breakthrough, okay. You have a break from the organization where you feel that my stress is going so much, my anxiety is so much that even if I want to produce so much in the organization, I'm not able to do that. So my productivity has taken a dip. So this is what happens, that organization with the review needs to understand that some job responsibility should be taken away, or maybe we require one more person in the team who can take that additional load and can work in the organization for the objectives to be accomplished nicely, right? Without giving any extra burden to people. Then third point आता है performance management cycle में evaluation. Now progress review हो गया, you are getting to know how you are doing. Now this is evaluation is done by your managers or people you are reporting into. Then how did I do? It is after the completion of a cycle, which is maybe a year or a 6 months or 3 months, depending upon organization to organization, when do they want to do performance management review. Then how did I do is I have a list of all my job responsibilities. I have a list of accomplishment standards which were given to me. I am being qualitatively and quantitatively measured as per the requirements that was given to me and as per the standards or benchmark given to me. This is where the comparison starts happening. This is where the calculations and mathematical formula, statistical formula starts coming into the performance management systems. Then how can I do better? The similar question in the review you did, the similar question is being asked again after a year or a 6-month cycle that, okay, now it's time. If I need to upgrade myself, if I have to do a career progression or a career development, मेरा जो भी path cycle दिखाई दे रहा है मुझे कि मुझे career develop करना है organization में, मुझे और क्या skills डालने हैं, what competencies I need to learn, is there technologically, I'm technologically not up to the date in the organization. So what are the things that I need to learn? So I will create my points, then my managers will tell me, okay, this is where the gaps we are seeing. So you need to overcome those gaps and learn certain skills. Then last is, what have I learned? So evaluation doesn't end with just the efficiency and effectiveness of your performance. It also asks you how you have progressed as a person, how you have developed over a year as a human being also and as a professional as well. What are the learnings? How did you learn to behave with other people? Have you learned team spirit or working in a team nicely in an organization? Have you taken care of problem solving or analytical skills, the challenges, the situation that came in? Did you were able to handle those things really nice? So all these things then tell you that, okay, my journey maybe overall in terms of measurement of numbers is little less. But if I see from my learning point of view, I have really overgrown. I have really grown up to a level where I can take up a new challenge. It's just a matter of another year or 6 months. When I learn these skills, I have learned people management. I have learned managing difficult situations. I know how to handle behavior. Now I can really grow in the organization. Right? Then again, after the evaluation is done, you are again given new objectives. new alignments. So then the planning for the next year again starts. So it becomes a continuous cycle for performance management in the organization. Right? Any questions on this one?
No, ma'am.
Perfect. So should we move ahead? Next topic talks about what is the difference between PA and performance management system. So PA is appraisal, normal performance appraisals like you have heard about, and why are we talking about performance management system? Simplistic, just line by line, if you read, you will get to know. It's a top-down assessment. So what your senior has to say about you, you just get to know about that. Performance management is a joint process through dialogues because we are doing continuous review. Like Anjanji just said a little while ago, that it's very important to know on a day-to-day basis that how am I doing in the organization. So it's a dialogue more as a joint process with the thought that you have to grow in the organization only, right? Annual appraisal meeting happens in performance appraisal only once. So that is why it is annual. Performance management system is a continuous review with one or more formal reviews. Some organizations have quarterly reviews, which is formal review, so that at least you know where and which path are you on. Some organizations do 6 monthly reviews to tell you that you are not on the right track, your numbers are not really adding up, there is certain problems, all those things. And some organizations do it on a weekly and monthly basis as well. So totally depending upon what kind of continuous reviews organization wants to bring in to the people, performance management system really accommodate that very well. Then third is use of ratings. Use of ratings, matlab, it's a simplistic rating method formula that out of the scale of 1 to 5, how do you think, how your manager sees you that you're doing? So maybe Dheeraj ko unhone de diye 4 because Dheeraj looks good. Ravi Chandran ji ko de diya unhone 4.5 out of 5 because he comes across as a good human being. So, or a various method. So there is no typical way in appraisal to give you appraisal uh, with the way of by managing or showing you that what kind of things you have really accomplished for the organization. Then performance management system brings lot of evaluation methods. Like I just said, well, we were starting the presentation today, that there are different methods, different ways, and depending upon the culture and the size of the organization, we bring in these different methods in the organization. Right? I'll take you through these evaluation methods. That's why I'm going a little fast today because too many things to talk about, and just 2 hours is a very less time for performance management system. So you might have to do a lot of research yourself on this topic. And maybe next week when we meet, you can ask questions on this particular topic. We can go ahead and do that, right? The third point says that monolithic system. Monolithic system is like a monopoly. Humne de diya, you've taken it, it's all, the ends. It doesn't change. Then performance flexible process says that it becomes flexible from very moment we have designed it. If you have some problems, we'll be ready to accommodate. The organization is happily ready to change that, whether it is your responsibility, whether it is your change in the role, whether you're not really feeling good about the skills that you have, anything. So it's a very flexible process. Then next is focus on quantified objectives. Appraisals are always talking about quantifiable things. But what about the qualitative things such as your behaviors, such as the values that you really portray on a day-to-day basis in the organization? Now, iska one example is there to identify what we are talking about. So suppose there is a sales manager in an organization and sales manager has been given a task or a target that every month you have to bring in 2 crores business, no matter how you bring in. Now the person goes, say lies, tell their customers different things, behave badly or dump the stuff somewhere at the distributors, whatever. Nobody is questioning, nobody is checking till the time the numbers are being met. But what about the values? What about the behaviors? What about the company's core values or code of conduct that has to be done, that practices to be done ethically? Code of conduct talks about professionalism, taking care of customer satisfaction, organizational governance. So many things are there that we need to talk about, which used to not happen in appraisals. That is why organizations started adapting to performance management system, because here the focus is not just on your quantifiable number. Yes, the numbers will surely be there in the methods, but we also take care of the values that you need to portray on a day-to-day basis. that if the organization that our core value is agility, whether you as an employee showing that agility on a day-to-day basis or not. If the organizational core value is professionalism, every day when you go out in the market or inside the organization, are you showing professionalism to people or not? So these values and behaviors as part of your objective are to be taken care of in performance management system. Then appraisals are often linked to pay, that is your salary directly, nothing else is there. Whether performance management system on the other side takes care of your complete development and growth. It is financially, your professionally and personal as well. Because appraisal is monolithic, it is also bureaucratic. A lot of paperwork, a lot of forms filling in, all those things happens. Performance management has just necessary documentation which is required. Why? Because we are not asking for your performance of a year only once in the once in the lifetime. We are taking your review on a monthly basis, weekly basis. So your managers have entire data and information, how you have performed, how you have achieved your goals, and whether you have achieved your goals or not, and what pain and efforts you have taken, even if your goals have not been accomplished. Right? Then last is owned by HR department. Majorly, most of the organization appraisals is absolutely HR's baby, and that is the reason it was never successful too much, because HR can just be a strategic partners in terms of doing performance management. They cannot do evaluation for anybody. Because if suppose Dheeraj is working in general management, Anjan is working in finance department, and Raviji is working in marketing department, how can an HR review their performance without even knowing the subjects really well, right? So that is the reason performance management system started, because it is owned by the line managers or the functional heads, and it is their responsibility to map and question the effectiveness and efficiency of performance, not the HRs. HR का role यहाँ पर सिर्फ इतना ही है, they design the process, they ensure that the process is being run really well as per the timelines. That's it. Rest of the reporting and everything is done by the functional heads. Got it?
Ma'am, just a question on the last point, which you are telling. Na?
Yeah.
The performance was more of a HR department, and now the performance management is of a line managers. So isn't in this way we are empowering more to the line managers? The HR is
No,
not
no.
taking the charge.
It's both. So HR's role is strategically looking whether things are happening. So you will see in performance management system how we do it in the organization is the functional head is giving the feedback on how your responsibility, day-to-day responsibility. Suppose आप हो finance department से, right? Now you're in finance department. This is your responsibility. Day-to-day journal entry करना है, billing करना है, receivables, payables डालना है, tally पे सारी entries आनी चाहिए. Suppose these are your responsibility. Now, as an HR, because I am not your reporting manager, I have not seen you perform day-to-day basis, right? It is not possible for all the HRs. So it is the responsibility of line manager to see how on your functional things you have done the work. Then HR jumps into the picture, that the feedback is given to you nicely, that your values and behaviors are being given by the HR, that this is how you have performed overall in the year, right? And other responsibilities, other things related to the organizational goals and objectives are given by the HR to you. So it becomes a process, or it becomes a system where both of them, hand or to hand, are doing everything for you, not just the HR. Because it is not possible for HR. I don't know, most of the organization says कि HR की वजह से the appraisal is not being done really nice, right? People get upset with HR that you have not given me ratings. But it is not in HR's hand to give ratings to everybody in the organization. They cannot give it. Simply, they can see whether you are coming on time, your punctuality, discipline, values, they can really give ratings on. They cannot give you ratings on your functional things, which is your subject matter expert. Right? Got
Yes.
it?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll tell you how it is done. अभी जो methods आएंगे ना, then we will talk about that in details. Then आता है आपका company wide PMS कैसे होता है? So for the entire organization, if you're doing performance management system, how it happens? So it's a pyramid that we generally talk about. Whether you want to take it from top to down or down to top, it's up to you. Na? We'll start with top. How we do it in strategic performance, we'll see whether the company's progress in vision and visionary outcomes is being decided or not. Strategic priorities are decided or not, and company's organizational stakeholders' reputation is really good or not. From there, they are being given these goals so that they can really do that. And these goals are given to the highest level of the employees in the organization, which are CEOs and CXOs in the company. It's their work to do all this. Then आता है overall corporate performance. So everybody in the corporate office, how they are actually working. Overall results delivery, financial measures, accurately being done or not, compliance with statutory requirement, very importantly, whether the entire organization is following compliances in various departments as required. Overall client satisfaction rate, you have to see from the perspective of, and we cannot say that the client satisfaction rate is just a marketing department's job or a sales department's job. It's a complete organizational role which goes into getting the right kind of client satisfaction ratings for the company. This is the rating which decides whether the product or the services are going ahead or not, how long the company is going to survive. Then organizational health rating. So organizational health rating is how happy people are in the organization, how satisfied employees. So employee satisfaction surveys are being done, their ratings are being taken into consideration, or people are really growing in the organization or not. So succession planning is a very important and crucial step in performance management system that organization needs to do very, very importantly. What is succession planning? Any idea to any one of you?
Next leader in line.
Correct. Very nice. So what do you mean by next leaders in line? Suman, Vaidehi, you guys have joined, but I can't see you.
Yes, ma'am.
So what do you think? What is succession planning?
Ma'am, about recession you are asking.
Succession planning.
I'm sorry. Ma'am, I was having a bad internet since past few days, so I was not turning on the video.
No problem.
Succession, ma'am, probably passing down the line of responsibility to other person. Is it?
Yeah, correct. But what does it mean? What does it happen? This is a bookish thing, right? How in organization it happens? Have you seen in your organization has succession planning happening?
Probably, ma'am, when the person promotes to the next level, so the junior person succeeds to the next position occupied by the former employee. Is that a succession for the
That's more of
employee? That
promotion.
is what-
Yeah. Succession planning usually happens at the very leader stages. So
Right.
yes, it is also succession planning, but usually, a lot of time and effort goes into succession planning at the leadership level. You start training your employees to take up that leadership position from maybe 3 years, from 5 years. So such plans are being done. Long-term planning is being done for that, right? For example, I'm not sure if you all are aware of Tata as a company. So Tata as a company is facing a huge amount of struggle in terms of who is going to be the next successor after Mr. Tata retires or he is no longer available. Why is he working round the clock even after achieving, he's 80 plus? His health doesn't allow him to be there all the time, but still he is there. So one major problem is that there is no succession planning being done, or they are not able to find the right heir who can take care of the organization nicely because it's a large group. And right now, what Tata Group does is they're almost 75-80% of wealth that they earn every year, or the revenues that they earn every year, it is being donated. Right? Only 20% they keep with the organization so that the organizations can be, as an investment, so that organizations can do really well. So they are really not sure who is going to be the next succession who can lead the organization with similar kind of value system that Mr. Tata has right now. So that is called succession planning, where you are looking at somebody who can take over, be an in charge of the organization, not in terms of just the systems, goals, or numbers that you have to achieve, but also the entire value system that you have to take it forward to the next step, right? Then आता है departmental performance. So what is departmental performance? Each department's role into the organization. What is their contribution as a result delivery, efficiency and cost effectiveness, quality satisfaction ratings, and benchmarks and comparatives for each function, whether it is marketing, sales, logistics, like every department. Then service function team, which means contribution to all the above functions specific through productivity and quality measures. So very importantly, that what kind of service everybody is doing in the organization in terms of the management of people, as well as productivity and quality measures that needs to be achieved by the organization. Then आता है last में individual performance. That means everybody who is contributing to these efforts, what is their performance in the organization. So this is what we start talking about. Contribution, goal achievements, whether your goals are being given to you or not, your competencies and skills, your key attribution, your development plan, everything comes into the picture. This is what we majorly talk about when we talk about performance management system. But performance management system here at the junior level is all about what all things happens in the organization side by side. Right? So strategic level pe companies are basically taking care of all these things as well. Then आता है framework, how it is being done. So this is how we actually plan and do things. The performance goal setting. So for example, you want to say something, Sushma? Okay. So performance goal setting, matlab, what is your key result areas? That what is it, the things that you have to achieve in the organization? What's your key result areas that you have to perform? Then the indicators, which we call KPIs, key performance indicators. How are we going to map whether you are achieving your day-to-day goals or not? Then last is your competencies. What are the skills and competencies required to do your day-to-day objectives that is being given to you? Then आता है monitoring performance. Second step, somebody is monitoring and giving you regular and timely feedbacks that okay, this is how it needs to be done. We have already spoken about that part, right? Then third आता है developing capacity to perform. That means your learning and development. If even during the time period we see that, suppose Suman is there, she's performing a job, and people see that Suman is not being able to give 100%. So what is it that is wrong? Is there a skill deficiency? The competency is not complete, or she's been overloaded with the work. So after looking at it, we start giving some trainings to Suman so that she develops herself. Her skills are developed to a level where she started doing all this job responsibilities or KRAs that has been given to her during the first year itself. Then evaluating performance, as we have already spoken to it as a part of the cycle, same thing is here. Then last is rewarding high performance. So now ultimate goal is to take care of the people who are working with you in the company in terms of not just financial security, but all the benefits, promotions, their behavior changes, their overall growth, their succession planning, everything is being then given to them, which is a part of rewarding high performance in the company. Right? Got it? Shall we move ahead?
Yes.
Okay. This process we have already spoken about, so I'm not going into the details again. I've already taken through it. Planning, monitoring, review, and rewarding is how it is being done. This is called performance management cycle in most of the organization, or the process. Now, how it happens in the company when we actually do it step by step. This is the sequence. So your role definition is being given to you. Your role is defined, which generally you see as a job responsibility. Your job responsibilities are then converted into KRA or OKRs, which is your objective and key result that needs to be seen. Then we see your competence requirement, which means your competency is matching with the role definition, it is happening or not, and the performance standard, which is your KPIs. That okay, this is how your measurement is being done for your each goal that has been assigned to you, right? Then we see your performance and development agreement, that okay, these are the level of performance you have to showcase to the organization every year. Then your development plan, which is performance and development plan. Now, if you see that three things are going simultaneously in this particular chart, and this is how performance management system is being run. So competency requirement, where we see whether competence evidence has happened or not through actions that you put on a day-to-day basis in your task and responsibilities, right? Your monitoring and feedback is happening on a day-to-day basis by your managers, and they are seeing that every competency that is required and that is suggested in your resume, are you actually doing it in action or not? Then similarly, performance standards are happening. Again, it is measured with your actions and your reviews, right? This is how it is being done. So three things simultaneously being done with the simplest goals of take care of your competencies to upgrade them. Then your performance and development agreement, that this is the level of performance I'm going to do on a day-to-day basis. And then your goals and OKRs, the objectives that has been given to you that you have to achieve for the organization, right? So three things simultaneously. Then formal review hota hai after a year. So people generally give you the evaluation. Okay, this is what you've done. This is your overall performance. Then non-financial rewards happening. So non-financial rewards, like you get recognition, you get employee of the month, employee of the year kind of rewards, all those things. So a lot of non-financial rewards are also accomplished or been given by the organization. Then after the final review, your ratings are been given, that out of 5, 4.75 it has somebody has achieved, or somebody has achieved 4.5, somebody's not done more than 3. So what kind of ratings you have achieved, and then it is related to the financial rewards, right? This is how step by step, and that is the reason why HR needs to be involved into the entire process, right from the designing to role definition to financial reward, because it all comes under human resource management. But everything here, from your competency evidence, action, continuous monitoring, and performance measure, these entire cycle is being managed by functional managers or line managers in the company, right? Any questions in this one?
No, ma'am.
Sure, everyone? Moving ahead.
Yes, ma'am.
So the same thing, the same chart now is being explained here. So PMS activities, this is what we do. Role definition, performance agreement, improvement plan, your development plan, managing your performance for the entire year, and your review. That is happening. Right? Improvement plan and development plan, what is the difference between the two? Can anyone would like to talk? Yeah.
Yeah, ma'am. Improvement is about the feedback based on the last year performance. Development can be a bigger role also, or looking at the future prospect for the company. That can be the development plan from the management. Or self-development also. Either we are going for MBAs or other management degrees. That come under the development plan.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. That's from the perspective of this. Anybody else who would like to talk about improvement plan and development plans difference?
Ma'am, improvement is something if there is something lacking in the performance of an employee. So in order to improve that, improvement plan might be implemented. Development is if person wants to get appraised to the next step, or for the promotion purpose they want to pursue some skills. That comes under
Absolutely.
development plans, I think.
Absolutely. So development, like the name suggests, improvement is where you lack or there is a problem in your achievement of goal day-to-day basis. It can be behavioral problem, it can be work-related issues, it can be personal problems that you're facing. So for anything, we give them a PIP, right? I'm not sure if you have heard in the organizations where you're working, or if any one of you were given performance improvement plan. We generally provide performance improvement plan at two places. One, when you are being taken from probation to full-time employment in the organization. शुरू का whenever you join an organization, initial months, शुरू के जितने महीने होते हैं, you are generally on the probation. So we do a probation review in the organization as well to see whether the employee needs any improvement plan or he or she is ready to go to the next level and become a permanent employee in the organization with taking care of responsibilities. One is that time. Second is after the performance management system is being done, after your evaluation, we see where you lack in terms of your skills and competency. For example, your competency should be 5. For let's say, suppose you have to, one of your job responsibilities, people management, right? Now in people management, we see that your people management skills should be 5 competency, ideally. But when you join the organization or after the evaluation, we found out that you're not 5, you're actually, your competency is 4. So how to take that 4 to the 5 is where the improvement plan comes into the place, right? So that you can become better in people management skills. Now, development plans talk about you're already 5 out of 5 in people management, right? But still, you don't know how to create more leaders. So we give you a development in terms of how to now just not just managing the people, but now to create more leaders so that your growth can happen multifold in the organization, right? So your career progression can go fast because once your team starts developing, you also start developing. So for this particular competency, this is how we start giving them the development plan for the future, and people start growing into the organization. Right? Got the difference between the two? This is then we do managing performance, and then the last is performance review that we have already seen in this. Now, how the individual goals and expectations are being given. So generally we ask these 4 questions: why, when, how, and what. So why is that? Why basically talks about your colleagues have a clear picture of what is expected of them and how to achieve it, right? So everybody in the organization have a very clear picture of what is expected of me and how I am going to achieve it. When around the start of the year, we give the responsibilities, the task. Sumanji, can you keep yourself on mute? A lot of noise is coming
Okay,
from
ma'am.
background. Yeah, thank you. Then when talks about when do we give these responsibilities or we give you a clear picture of what is expected of you in the start of the year, right? So that you can work accordingly. We give you business objectives, we tell you what your role change is required, what other development needs would be required in the organization, so that we can review and reflect on that on year-to-year basis. Okay? Then how it is happened? It happens as a discussion between individual and line managers so that we can understand the across range of job responsibilities that has been given to you. Then last is what needs to be seen in performance management is identifying the expectations of role using role profiles, individual job description being given to everybody, local business objective if you are in a branch working somewhere or you are handling a particular region or zone, then how your business objectives are aligned with that, your individual performance in relation to this, and all these things that has been written here, your areas of improvement, documentation by individual, line manager confirms it, performance reviews are being done, how it is being delivered, how your performance is going to be supported and reviewed, right? So these are things that we generally take care of when we are giving you your individual job responsibilities in the company. Correct? Then आता है first evaluation method, how we use evaluation methods for finding out the right performance, whether it is being shown in the entire year or not. So number 1 is management by objectives, one of the very oldest method of finding whether the people are really doing in the organization or not. Very simply, as the name suggests, management by objectives. So management objective is that we have given some planning for your objectives. You have to achieve this. We are monitoring it on a regular basis and we are giving you a review. Simple. Many organizations, even now, after this being introduced almost 50, 60 years back, And still many organizations are using it purely because it's a very complete evaluation method in itself. Everything is being there. So you're actually planning, you're monitoring, and you're reviewing everything. There is a feedback review between management and employee that is happening on a regular basis. Right? How it happens? Every manager must have 5 to 10 goals, specific and measurable terms being given to them. Then they can really, what is specific and measurable terms? If I can ask you, have you ever heard about SMART goals? Any one of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Every one of you was aware what is, what do you call it? SMART goals. What is the definition of SMART or full form of SMART? Very quickly.
Ma'am, S stand for specific, M stand for measurable, A stand for achievable, R stand for relevant, and T stand for time bound.
Correct. Anybody else would like to explain it? Raviji, would you be able to do that?
No, man.
Try it. So suppose we have given you goals, 5 goals. How do you make your goals SMART? We make it specific. So let's take an example. Just give me very quickly. We'll do this exercise very quickly so that we don't waste too much of time in this one. But just to make you understand. So I'll just request all of you, even if your cameras are not on, just write one personal goal for me in a copy. Anywhere, if you have a notebook in your hand, just write one personal goal that you want to achieve. Any personal goal. It can be losing weight, it can be, making my skin looking more radiant, it can be, going out for a movie after sometimes, regularly reading books, anything. So any personal goals, you just have to write that. Then I'll tell you how to convert it into a SMART goals. And write neatly with your name so that you can send it to me. Click a photograph and send it to me on WhatsApp or in the group. If you don't want to send it in the group to everyone, my number is there in the group. Just send it to me separately, right? So anyone wants to talk about what personal goal you have written?
Yes, ma'am. I want to see myself as a good HR manager in the organization.
Okay, so that's one line goal. Raviji, what's yours? What you've written?
Sir, reading one book a week. Reading one
Very
book.
good. Very nice. Dheeraj?
Reading books.
Reading books with what? What
Means
kind
reading
of books? Yeah. So we'll come
Yeah.
to that. How we convert these reading books to SMART goals, right? Somewhere Raviji has written a SMART goal. Anjan has said something about SMART goal. Suman?
Ma'am, to become a successful businesswoman in a
Very
near
nice.
future and to maintain a work-life balance.
Good. Very lengthy and difficult one. Kabhi nahi ho sakta hai. After you become a businesswoman, trust me, there is no work-life balance.
Ma'am, right now I am looking for work for the life balance. Basically, it is a kind
No,
of
no.
thing that is cannot be achieved anyhow, but it is
No,
something
just
like,
joking. It can be achieved. Trust me, it can be
yeah,
achieved.
like to
Sushma?
further my
Yeah,
career in a new direction. So
absolutely. Sushma, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
So
Actually,
what's your personal goal? I know you have a kid at home. I know
yeah,
that. Yeah. It's okay. You can just still tell us what is your personal goal.
you know,
Or you can write in the chat. Vaidehi?
good evening, everyone.
Hi, good evening. Yeah, little disturbance, but we can hear you.
Okay, so my goal is to work with leadership leadership manager or product manager in
No, I'm sorry. Can't hear you properly. Yes.
Can you write it in the chat box?
You can write in the chat box, please. Yes. That would be great. Thank you so much. Okay, Sushma ji has, I want to achieve work-life balance. Okay, fine. So see, every one of you has a separate goal altogether. So now how are you going to convert into very smart goals so that you can really achieve it? So for example, because two people said reading books, so I'm just taking that as an example, right? So suppose reading books is a goal that you have for yourself or an objective. Now, SMART goal says that you have to make it specific. So, how are you going to make it specific? So, like Raviji said, I want to read one book in a week. So, it's a very specific kind of a thing that at least I'm going to try to read one book in a week's time, which is achievable also. Right? Right? So, A says achievable as well. And it is time bound also because it is saying one book in a week. So, you have a time limit to it. कि एक हफ्ते में एक बुक आराम से खत्म हो सकती है, so that time bound lens has also come. Now we'll talk about measurement and how realistic your goal is. Now, measurement can only happen when you are putting it into a quantitative figures, right? So, quantitative figure kya hai? 1 week. That is what he's saying. So, that timeliness is also quantitative, and one book is also quantitative. So, you can easily measure after a week whether I have completed the book within a week's time or not, right? So, that becomes your goal as a measurable goal. Then realistic. Now, if you're working full time, if you have other responsibilities at home, so you have to decide how realistic is my goal to achieve one book in a week's time or not. Try and do it maybe for 3 weeks and then see whether I could really do this or not. If for 3 weeks continuously it is not happening, that means your goal is not realistic and you need to change it, make it flexible, make it to maybe one book in a 2 weeks' time, right? So this is how we make our goals realistic. Now somebody else has said another goal where he's saying to build my career as a trainer, leadership manager with Hindustan Unilever Company. Very specific goal already, right? But only thing that is missing, for example, in this goal is that timelines are missing. That how soon you want to achieve this particular goal, right? What is the timeline to it? So that, even if you're not able to achieve it, say in 1 year's time or 2 years' time, but still you are actually giving it a measurement thing so that you can evaluate or you can really motivate yourself on a day-to-day basis that whether I am on track or not, how much things I need to do to progress myself to become a leadership manager in a HUL company, right? Yes, so now she's writing at least in 1 year and 1.5 years. Now that it makes this particular goal a very specific and smart goal. Now Sushma ji says that she wants to achieve work-life balance. So now to achieve work-life balance, again, it's a very simple statement. Now how you turn this statement into a goal, smart goal is, I want to achieve work-life balance through what? What are the things that I'm going to put in action? मैं क्या करने वाली हूँ, so on a day-to-day basis, what are you going to change? How are you going to, so you are going to hire some help, you are going to hire some maids so that they can take care of your things at home, or you are going to ask your husband or your family members to put in some more responsibility at home, right? This is how you can achieve work-life balance, right? And there cannot be any timeline, so it's a very open goal because work-life balance is something that you need for your lifetime. It cannot be just for a specific period of time. So there is no timeline for this, but you can easily measure it on a day-to-day basis. Okay. Anjanji has written, I want to see myself as an HR manager within 6 months in a good multinational company. Very nicely done, right? Now it's up to you whether you want to see and evaluate it on a daily basis with your actions that you're on a right track or not. Can you measure it nicely or not? Right? So this is how your professional goals or objectives can also be turned into SMART goals. This is what we call step 1 in MBO, that every goal, every statement, every job responsibility of you become a measurable terms. Then second आता है manager can propose their goals in writing, which will be finalized after review. So then whatever goals that we have written for everybody, it goes into review and then people see whether they can be accomplished or not. purely how realistic they are for the organization as well or not. Like for example, somebody says, I just want to achieve 2 crore business for a year, whether the potential is of earning 10 crores revenue for the organization. But if you're keeping your goal as just 2 crores, I'm sure then you're not really putting yourself across in the market for the measurement of your goals in a right manner, right? So it has to be realistic from both point of view, whether you are underachieving something or whether you are overachieving something. So that realisticness has to come into the goals on a daily basis. Then each goal needs to include a description and clear list of tasks to accomplish it. Like we said that your goal is not complete till the time we see the action that is being done in the day-to-day basis. So reading a book will not happen automatically. You will have to purchase the book as per your requirements. You need to then open the book. You need to find the time where you want to sit and start reading the book. You have to read and understand what is written out there. So these are the actions that you need to be taken to read a book in a week's time. Right? Similarly, for other things also, you need to ensure that you want to do this. Sumanji, we did that. I want to see myself as an HR manager with a reputed firm in next 6 months. Perfect. So now you are all understood the meaning of SMART objectives. Then the next point says that determine how progress is measured, at least quarterly. So see whether you are on the right track or not. Like I just told, for reading books, you need to see at least for 2 weeks whether you are able to do it regularly or not. Then in the third week, you decide whether you want 2 more days extra or not. Because it is your personal goal. Nobody is actually evaluating you on the basis of this. This you have kept it for yourself, right? But in organization, because it is being measured and somebody else is doing a monitoring of that, so need to be very realistic whether you can really achieve that or not. Right? Then आता है list down corrective actions that will be taken if progress is not in accordance with the plans. So similar things like we spoke in the entire performance management review, that you need to write down, or your managers along with you need to write down what are the actions that needs to be there. Where I need to improve. What are the skills and competency I need really good training on? Whether it can be a self-paced training, whether I need to be sent by an external trainer, or I am being sent to an institution, that the companies will decide what you need, which skill you need. Your manager is deciding that you lack. You need to accomplish that in accordance with the plans that has been given to you. Then ensure that goals at each level are related to the organizational objectives and levels above and below. Everything that you are doing is part of the organizational objective. So you need to ensure that you are doing that on a regular basis also. Now, why I have written Walmart is an example that Walmart is such a large organization is using MBO as the method for evaluating the performances of their employees in the organization. So that's just an example. There are many case studies available for Walmart on internet. If you are interested to learn through case studies, I'll be able to send you out some case studies. But then हमारा course का timeline is such that we can't really do too many case studies at one go. But at least one class I'll try where we can just do case studies. Right? So case studies help you understand the real life problems. What happens in the organization, how we are solving it, how things needs to be done. Then next method is 360-degree performance. Again, one of my favorite and one of very, very crucial and very important performance evaluation system. More than performance evaluation system, it is actually a feedback mechanism, right? Through which we can really get good feedbacks for an employee in an organization. So now 360 says that 360 kya hota hai? It's a full circle, right? In mathematics language, correct? 180 is a half circle and 360 makes it a full circle. So what an employee's full circle of influence in the organization is all these people. So suppose जहाँ पर 360 आप देख सकते हैं ना slide में, where 360 is written, just see yourself out there. So suppose this is where Suman is, right? So Suman is 360-degree appraisal. Now we are saying that to Suman, how many people can evaluate the performance, or how many people can actually give feedback at how Suman has been in the company for a year's time or for 6 months' time. So first is the top management. Obviously, the people she is reporting to, right? Then the immediate superiors. So one person who is the reporting manager, direct reporting manager, the supervisor in the company that she's reporting to, right? Then customers, all the customers that she's dealing with. So suppose she's in HR, so her customers would be all the employees who are working in the organization. Right? Then self. Self means my own personal view of myself, whether my performance is up to the track as per myself or not. Then my peers. Peers are my group, my colleagues who are on the same level in the organization, same designation, similar kind of work that they are doing. They become my peers in the organization. Then my subordinates. So my subordinates are my juniors who are reporting into me, and they are telling me that this is what I lack, this is where I'm doing good, this is what the feedback about me. So this is how 360-degree appraisal works in the organization, where we get feedback from all point of view, not just one. Generally क्या होता है, self evaluation होता है, and your supervisor or top management is giving more feedback about you, right? Now, what is the good thing about how 360-degree feedbacks?
Ma'am, good thing is about 360-degree feedback is, ma'am, it is collected from different people, like from your colleagues, from your managers. So it give an overview to the HR, so he or she can analyze your weak area, so where he or
Right.
she has to work, and he will plan according to the goals and set the parameters. And the disadvantage of 360 degrees, someone is not liking in the like you in the organization, so he will give you a bad feedback.
Absolutely.
Okay, and it cannot work only in the small team. Actually, it got 30-40 people in the team who will give you a proper 360-degree feedback.
Correct. Right? And sometimes what happens, the major flip side, see, all the good things are written here, right? How many people can really go there? So self-appraisal hota hai, managerial review, peer review, subordinating, appraising you, customer and client review, and vendor review. All these happened here. Now, what is the flip side of it? 360-degree method. The flip side of 360-degree method is basically that suppose your juniors are not happy with you because you're a very strict manager. So there are chances that they might not give you good ratings. Then, for example, you're very harsh towards vendors. Not harsh in the sense in your behavior, but harsh towards in the sense that you're very firm. You're very strict with your vendors that everything has to become on a quality, on a time basis, everything. So you're really very strict in terms of managing the things for the organization, and hence they are not happy with you. Because उनको थोड़ा कट चाहिए, किसी vendor को कुछ problem है, कुछ भी चाहिए, so they are also not giving good feedback. Also, another flip side of this method is that sometimes if it is not being handled correctly in the organization, the chances of things moving ahead, I mean, things going out, the confidentiality needs to be maintained 100% for 360-degree review. One subordinate, if suppose आपकी team में there are 5 people who are reporting into you, you are taking feedback from all 5. The confidentiality of 360-degree says that not even one person should get to know about what other person is giving rating as. If that standard of confidentiality can be measured, can be happening in the organization, then only 360-degree can become a successful way of doing it. If people are in habit of talking, gossiping, discussing different things, then in those organizations, it can never become a 100% successful thing. So that is the reason why many organizations just use it to collect feedback for the employees in terms of how their performance is. They not really do performance evaluation through 360-degree.
Ma'am, I can give example of 360 feedback in a real life
Please.
example in my organization. So ma'am, actually I'm working in a healthcare sector, US healthcare. So we can give a feedback, we can send a link to the customer that please give you a proper feedback. So sometimes they cannot give a proper feedback, managers can give, but so that is the biggest advantage because they cannot get a proper idea about that employee who are working in the, if you can take example of Zomato also, of delivery boy rating.
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
true. Right, so sometimes even if like Zomato ka example if we take, So sometimes even the customer is not happy because of whatever problems they are facing at home, or they are stressed because of certain things. The chances are that your ratings might be affected because of that, right? So somebody's behavior, somebody's mood, somebody is not in the right mind of state can also affect 360-degree method. So now how we can really improve 360-degree to happen in the organization is these four things. So increase the individual's awareness of how they perform and impact it on the other stakeholders. So it's very important for all of us to understand that when we work in an organization, it is not just work for the reporting manager who we are reporting to. It is for everybody whosoever is connected to us in the organization. So we need to ensure. Usually, what happens, why 360-degree is being taken is when we have to see the impact of value system of an employee or the behavior of an employee with the other people in the organization. Sometimes people are very happy working in a team when they are working in a smaller team. आपका manager है, you're working under them, there is 3-4 team members and you are really performing well. But what about other things? What about the vendors that you're dealing with? What about the customers you are dealing with? What about the subordinates who are reporting into you? So you need to see everybody's performance. We generally call it circle of influence. Circle of influence talks about the direct people we can have an impact or influence on, and vice versa. The people who can be impacted by our behavior and the way how we conduct ourselves in the organization. So this is how we take 360-degree. Then second point says that serve as a key to initiate coaching, counseling, and career development activities. The feedbacks obtained through 360-degree are really becomes very helpful to design coaching and counseling sessions for the employee, especially on the behavior. Like I said, behavioral side of it is more to be taken into consideration when we are doing 360-degree. Then third is encourage employees to invest in self-development and embrace change management. So now it's very important for people to understand that your self-development is very important and crucial in the company. Also, the change management that happens in the organization. And this is where most of the organization choose to use 360-degree as an evaluation system when they have made some changes in the organization as part of the change management. राइट सो फॉर एग्जाम्पल कोई नया सॉफ्टवेयर इंस्टॉल कर दिया कोई नई टेक्नोलॉजी ले आया ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में हाउ मेनी पीपल सेड नो रिफ्रेन्ड फ्रॉम गेटिंग ट्रेन्ड इनटू द टेक्नोलॉजी और यूजिंग टेक्नोलॉजी एट फर्स्ट हैंड ये सारी इंफॉर्मेशन निकल अगर आ जाती है इफ यू आर यूजिंग 360-degree rightly, right? The idea is not to see these employees that they are failures or they are losers or they are not performing, they are average performers. The idea is to see whether how we can really change the way they see the change happening in the organization, right? Then last is integrate performance feedback with work culture and promote engagement. So like I said, the major idea about 360-degree is to see the behaviors and the value system. So from that perspective only we are saying
Yeah, ma'am is facing some electricity issue, so I think she will be joining within 5 minutes or so. Yeah, she is back.
Yeah, sorry, there was this electricity problem and Wi-Fi takes time to start. All right, so where were we? Okay. Right, so this is what we were talking about. So 360 then is implemented in the companies like RBS, Sainsbury, G4S, Securitas. All these companies are really using it. So with my own example, I mean more experience with G4S, I've seen that this company basically keeps confidentiality at a very high stages. I mean their confidentiality level in the organization, maintaining secrecy, how the documents is being collected is really, really great. So that really talks about how this company is able to grow up to a level where no other security agency was being able to do in such a short span of time, purely because they were implementing these methods on a very successful manner, in a very successful manner, right? Then आता है what 360 degree do. We have already spoken about it. Major competencies, skills, listening, planning, and goal setting. And it also focus on subjective areas, like I said, teamwork, behavior, character, and you need to show, and your leadership skills that you need to change or adapt. Right? Next आता है assessment center appraisal. Now, assessment center appraisals are being done in a very less number of organizations. Again, generally, it's a very boutique version of doing evaluation system in the organization. You cannot do, not everybody can perform assessment center appraisals in organization. You need a very specific training on assessment centers to start using it. That is the reason why I will not go into the details. This is just an overview I am going to give you for this particular method, because this particular method itself takes at least 3-4 classes to understand how this method is being designed, evaluated, and then being taken into consideration in organization. So very simplistically, there are 3 stages of this particular method that we implement. One is pre-assessment stage. We prepare people during assessment and then post-assessment. In pre-assessment stages, what we do, we create your online objectives of review. That these are the objectives that everybody has in the organization. We'll find your competencies. We will give you some simulation exercises, and then we will choose a rating method to rate you. Now, when we talk about simulation exercises basically is a psychologically comes from psychological background. Psychology says that when we induce, say, simulation exercises into the system, it helps people to understand things more. So, simulation exercises are basically real life problems, real life exercises that has happened in the organization. So, various incidences, where various circumstances, situations, different problems that the organization has already faced, जिनको हम जनरली केस स्टडी फॉर्मेट्स में भी शेयर कर लेते हैं, बट केस स्टडी फॉर्मेट इज मोर theoretical, very less practical. Simulation exercises are very practical in terms of how you are going to achieve. So there is a problem given to you. Now, in terms of your experiences, your education level, your competency, how you are going to solve that particular problem for the organization. Right? So this is what simulation exercises are designed, depending upon which function, which organization department you are handling. Simulation exercises are designed purely on that basis by people who are trained to design such exercises. Then during assessment, what we see is we explain the purpose and policies of how assessment center works. Then we give you competency metric exercises. Competency exercises metrics is basically to see what level of competency you are at, right? Again, competency mapping is a very vast subject. So competency mapping में हम क्या करते हैं? We see that ideally to accomplish one job, what kind of competency you require to perform that job, right? And at what stage of competency you are at right now, and how many training, what kind of development, what kind of things are required for you to come to that actual level that is required by their organization for the competency, right? For example, very simplistically, एक छोटा सा, like, let's take a example for this. So competency, suppose you become an HR manager, or even if you don't become an HR manager, let's just say that you are a recruiting manager in an organization, right? Recruiting manager can be from any field. They may not necessarily be from HR background. So you become a recruiting manager for the organization where your job is to hire good people in the company, right? In your department. Now, to become a recruiting manager, one very particular competency that is required is analytical skills, right? So now analytical skills says that you need to be able to analyze what kind of skills are matching with of the employees who you are going to hire in the company with the job description that you have. So now we will see on a competency level, suppose all 5 of you are hired for that particular role. We'll see in a competency matrix that Suman is at 3 right now out of 5, which is required ideally to perform this particular job. Ravi ji, because he has more experience in meeting people, understanding people, so he might be at 4. Dheeraj is a salesperson. He goes out in the market, meets a lot of people. He has experience of handling different problems. So Dheeraj is at maybe 4.5. So similarly, for all the 5 people, we see on what competency rating scales they are at. Now the simulation, the assessment center says that how we can really increase that power of your competency from what it is right now, right? Through a matrix. So matrix is designed for that particular system. Like I said, it's very complex to make you understand in such a limited time period, but I'm just trying my best, right? So that you can at least get the overview of what assessment center is. Then we do a lot of exercises and discussions. So exercises similar to simulation exercises, we do a lot of role plays in that. So suppose we give you a role play that you have a very complex, suppose you are a customer service employee in the organization. We give you a exercise. Ki, Dheeraj, you have a very difficult customer coming to you. I become your difficult customer. Now you have to handle me. So from this particular exercise, what we see, how Dheeraj is going to behave with a very, very complex customer who can abuse, who might give galis, who might say anything to you, right? How are you going to handle that particular customer, keeping in mind your organizational objective, core values of organization, characteristic of your personal self, right? Got it? So this is how we are going to do. So for example, now Dheeraj gets really agitated. जैसे ही customer gets agitated, Dheeraj also gets agitated. So that means he is not showcasing the right kind of behavior that the company demands, right? And suppose now Suman handles the same customer, right? And Suman doesn't show too much of agitation. She stays calm, she stays still, very still. She says, okay, sir, I'll take care of that, whatever, So the customer is abusing, still she's saying. So for example, if you have called on any call center, right? When you call on a call center, you have a problem. You're a customer, and call center executive, you can't even see that person now. You are very agitated, you are in a very bad mood, right? Sometimes, have you ever spoken to any call center executive in a bad mood? Right? I'm sure at some point in time we all have, right? Maybe not giving using abusive language, but maybe not in a right state of mind. You're really, really hassled because your phone is not working or your gadget is not working, whatever. So this is how we do different exercises and discussions as per the requirements of your job, so that we can assess how you perform your role on a day-to-day basis in the organization, right? Then we note down your strengths and weaknesses. So these are the strengths, these are the weaknesses. How we have to overcome weaknesses is then we do in the post-assessment thing. So this is the very basic of how the assessment center works, largely again on behavioral point of view, characters point of view, so that just to train employees that your centric self, your own self has to be there no matter what kind of complex situations you handle, right? You need to be calm, you need to be polite, you need to be able to talk to people nicely. You cannot just give your string in somebody's hand and become a puppet, right? This is what happens in anger management. जब हमें गुस्सा आता है, what we become, we actually become a puppet in somebody else. Anybody can trigger us and they can actually pull our strings and we can behave as per what their requirement is. Instead, if you stay calm, if you learn the art of how you can actually remain very soft spoken, your behavior is always good. That means you're giving much more value to your own personal characteristics and the organizational value methods, value systems, right? So this is how assessment center assess human behavior in the organizational as well. Right? So the objective of assessment center that it gives you the power how we can observe people and see how we can impact their performance on a day-to-day basis in the organization. Purely through a scientific method, that is why it works like that. Now, these are the exercises. We create a part of it. A lot of simulation exercises like in-basket exercises, informal discussions about how the performance needs to be done, then fact-finding exercises, getting involved into how your behavior could have been better by giving facts and figures. Then decision-making problems can be handled through assessment centers. Role plays can be given, like I just gave you an example, how a role play can work in a company. And then other exercises, there are many such exercises available. But again, as I'm saying, you can read these exercises. You can read more about these assessment centers on internet, but you cannot really use it till the time you become a certified professional, because there are a lot of psychometric testing, a lot of psychological training that you need to undergo to understand how psychometric test assessment works in a company, right? बहुत सारी organizations use it for hiring also. For example, if you have to be hired on a very crucial role in an organization, so that they take you through psychometric assessment, or we call it psychometric test. Many organizations design it also in a manner. Again, these tests cannot be designed by just anybody. There is a subject matter expert. There is a proper trained professional who designed this assessment center, and company can make their HR manager train in how to conduct these tests. That's it. The assessment and evaluation through assessment center is being done by the trained person only. Otherwise, then results will go haywire. फिर उसमें bias आ जाता है. So like we spoke about biases last time, this performance management system is a major point where a lot of biases comes into picture when we are giving evaluation to one another, feedbacks to one another, right? So for example, recency effect कैसे आता है? So suppose I have seen that, recency effect example देती हूँ, that I saw that two of you did not attend my last two classes. So the recency effect says that my bias would be towards the people who have been attending classes on a regular basis. So I'll be more biased in terms of, Ravi is really good, Dheeraj is very good, Suman is good because they attended all the classes. I may not like Sushma, I may not like Vaidehi because they have not been attending my classes. So that's a direct effect of recency effect, which comes as a bias on a thing. How it works in an organization is, so recency effect says that you have just seen the 3 months performance of the employee, not the entire 1 year. Because your mind cannot capture the entire 1 year performance. Your mind can just capture all the good or bad things which has recently happened, right? So this becomes recency. And why recency effect becomes really problem for the organization? It becomes a problem when we don't note down their reviews on a regular basis. If you have facts and figures in front of you on a regular basis, then recency effect will not be able to affect your judgment. right? So for example, same example that I just gave for the classes. So suppose even if I know that, whether he is not attending the classes every time, but I'm sure that she is able to pick up whatever is being lost, right? At the time of the evaluation that we will be doing, when we'll be taking assessments or exam, then she'll be able to put herself good. So that recency effect will go on its own automatically, right? So this is about your assessment centers. ये इसके details में मैं नहीं जा रही. You can read it. I'll share the brief with you. I've already spoken to that. I have tried and given you an example how we note down when we do assessment center appraisal in the organization. This is the sheet that we create for one individual task given to you. कितना हम उस पे क्या-क्या हम टेस्ट करने वाले हैं उस टास्क से रिलेटेड, किसी का स्ट्रेस रेजिलियंस, किसी का ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, उसका एग्जाम्पल भी दिया हुआ है. सो जस्ट गो थ्रू इट इन डिटेल एंड प्लीज डू आस्क क्वेश्चन in the next class. This is in basket exercise ka example. Again, this example I have given you here. Then aata hai next method, which is called behaviorally anchored rating scales. In short, we call it BARS. Again, BARS is a very popular method being used by the organization for evaluation of performance. How it basically works is we take out specific behavior examples in a numerical ratings. That, this is how this particular behavior should be given a 5 rating, this particular behavior should be given a 4 rating. On that basis, then we align your job responsibilities and start assessing you, evaluating you. Then each performance level on a bar scale is anchored by multiple bar statement we described. I'll give you the example. This is how bar rating scales look like. Readable hai? Or should I increase it? Right? So generally there are 7. It is rated on the scale of 7. Every scale talks about, so like you can see, number 1 talks about extreme poor performance and number 7 talks about extremely good performance. Now each scale talk about something in order to explain that. So extreme poor performance is basically in order to take a break, this person can be expected to block off the check stand with people in line. Right? It's a bank checker जिसका evaluation हम ले रहे हैं उसका example है. Right? Then extremely poor performance number 2, this checker may be expected to linger long conversation with the customers or another checker. That we have seen this person just wasting time with longer conversations with the customers or other people in the organization. That's why it is performance. Then slightly good performance. You could expect this checker to ask the customers the price on an item that he doesn't know. So any questions that the customer is asking, he or she doesn't know that particular thing. That means their role and responsibilities have not been understood by them clearly well. Then fourth is near poor nor good. That means person is able to not check out the things in less than 5 minutes time. That means the time duration that the person is taking to manage the customer is really, really long. But still he or she is able to perform that. Slightly poor performance. When in doubt, this checker would ask the other clerk if the item is taxable or not. So just an example, you can actually give any kind of example here. Then good performance. Good performance talks about why this person is a good performer. That it is aware of, he or she is aware about the items. He or she is aware that what kind of coffee items are available and are able to sell it to the customer as well. Then extremely good performance means that he or she knows everything about the job that is being given to them and they are able to showcase it on a day-to-day basis in the organization. So like the name suggests, behaviorally anchored, you will see that in all these 7 scales we have spoken about only the behavior of the person, nothing else. That he or she is able to showcase the behavior in a certain manner, and the rating scales are designed accordingly to the behavior of the person. Another example is, this is how it can be given for a customer service representative. So on the scale of 5, 1 being unsatisfactory and 5 being outstanding, this is how you give. Argue with customers about suitability, discourage customers for waiting, referred customer to another product, offer additional pertinent information, and use positive phrases to explain products, right? So this is how you can give them ratings on various scales. This is majorly used everywhere. So even if you have filled out on any customer surveys for any product in on your organization, or if you have given any feedback to anybody, maybe in a restaurant, in a hotel, anywhere, generally this method is being used very, very often by many organizations. Right? Got it? Then आता है psychological appraisals. Psychological appraisals are again, it's a psychological method of giving appraisals. This particular method talks about ensuring that there are few traits of a employee that should be related to the job responsibilities that is being given to them, so that we can analyze them psychologically, how their psychological performance should come out for each. Generally, as per the part of this method, yeah, I'm so sorry. This Wi-Fi is giving too much of trouble today. Who is the host? I need the screen sharing view. Raviji, you are the host. You have to give me the right.
Yes, ma'am. Once.
Yeah. You have to say, okay. I think I can. Thank you. All right. So now we were on this psychological appraisal. Psychological appraisal happens on these 7 attributes largely, which is your interpersonal skills, cognitive abilities, intellectual traits that you showcase on a day-to-day basis for a job that is being assigned to you, your leadership skills, personality traits, and emotional quotient. Right? And it can be other related skills, but largely it is these 7. Other related skills can be functional related, which is required to perform the job in department that you are handling. So on these basis, then we design the forms, we design the entire system, and we start taking care of your behavioral. So for example, how we do it in this psychological appraisal, we ensure that specific scenarios we collect, which has happened in the organization, and then we start giving you that. Similar example that I told you a while back, which we do in psychological assessment also. When aggressive customers come and you have to see how your skills, your responses, your emotional responses were to that person while you were handling that person. So this is how we can use. Usually, this method is being used in the organization to manage the performance of very senior people. Right? You cannot use it for the entire organization is one setback because you cannot really implement this particular method. It's a very time-consuming method, and hence you cannot because you have to observe somebody's behavior on a regular basis. So observation cannot happen if you're a 500 people company or 2000 people company. It can only work for very simplistic some positions where you need to really observe that person maybe for succession planning. You're planning a promotion for that person and you need to see how their leadership skill, how their behavior is coming out in front of the other people, how good they are in interpersonal skills, how good are they handling other people in the organization. So just to measure all these things, you can put in instance of this particular behavioral method, this particular appraisal method for the people you want to see. So when not possible for long term and large teams, but for short term basis, for short small teams, for people specific job responsibilities, for people who need to manage or ensure the customers are happy all the time. For all those people, all kind of the job responsibilities, then you can really ensure that psychological assessment is being put into use. Right? What are the advantages of using this particular method is the extract measurable objective data about not just the employee's performance, but also potential of the employees is possible to collect through this particular method. Right? Because you are evaluating the person on different skills, functional, interpersonal, behavioral, leadership, and all other skills that is required to do perform a job in the company. Then it can be deployed easily when compared with other performance appraisal methods. Again, as I said, for a small team members. Then last is it is often introverted or shy employees a platform to shine and prove their potential because ultimately what happens in other methods is jitne bhi shy employees and the people who are really introvert in the organization, they don't come across, they don't showcase how they are performing. But because here we are taking care of all the skills related to a human being, it gives a platform to them to really showcase their potential, how it needs to be done overall in the organization. So that's a very positive side of this particular thing. The flip side is only that you cannot really do it for a large number of people in an organization. It is time consuming. Otherwise, it's a very good method. Ford Motors, ExxonMobil, Procter & Gamble, such large companies are using it. Again, for a very specific departments, they are using it. They're not using it for the overall organization. Then आता है last OKR method. Last लिखा है मैंने, but it's a very popular method. I think most of the organization, the startups, the small organizations, and even the large organizations use this method on a very regular basis. Again, very, very popular method and overall easy to use. So how OKR methods work is objective and key responsibility is the name of the method. Also, in some organization, we call this method as KRAs and KPIs method as well. So KRA, KPI is your key result areas being given as a goal setting. And then we give you performance indicators that this is how we are going to measure your objectives, each performance, right? No, examples of objectives can be, suppose you have been given this responsibility, increase customer satisfaction and loyalty, launch a new product successfully, improve operational efficiency. इसके key results कैसे बनेंगे? Example of key results would be achieve a net promoter score of 9 or higher for customer satisfaction, achieve 10,000 product signups in the first month after launch for a new product successfully, reduce operational cost by 15% through process optimization for improving operational efficiency. So these are your objectives. This is how your key result areas are being measured in the organization. This is how we design this particular method. Right? Get it? So one simple statement as your objective, जैसा हमने SMART goals में किया था, similar thing. So on what basis are you going to measure that? You need to prove that. So customer satisfaction and loyalty कैसे increase होती है? Promoter score से या customer rating scales of 9 or higher. You need to obtain that in your customer satisfaction surveys. This is how it is being measured then. Right? Understood well? Shall we move ahead?
Yes, ma'am.
Then how it is being done? So it is being done basically at a different level. So it can cascade down from top to bottom. Again, you need to have the top alignment, their vision and mission, and the corporate organizational goals written neatly well. Then only you can cascade it down to the level of everybody in the organization. So that cascading effect is very important. Then regular check-ins. Now, OKRs cannot be just written and forgotten. You need regular reviews of these OKRs, that whether you are on track or not. And if you are going haywire, what needs to be done to put you back on the thing? That is the reason why we say that weekly or bi-weekly check-ins or reviews are important to discuss the challenges people are facing, any strategies or plans that need to be adjusted or realigned, and then we can really make it more helpful for the organization. Then stretch goals. Now, OKRs are designed for ambitious and stretch goals. Stretch goals means goals that looks really difficult to achieve, right? But with the help of key results, because you know how to measure these goals, you can really push your individuals to perform that much of a job on a nice manner, right? For example, even if you're telling somebody that you need to you need to bring back 2 crores of revenue for the month, you need to be very sure about what kind of KRs that you are giving to that person. That key results, how you're measuring that key results, what you're writing in that, what kind of numbers you're putting in that. So, for example, 2 crores in a month, meaning that every day, what kind of revenue you are generating, how many customers you are meeting. So, this is the number that you give to them so that people are really going out and striving hard to succeed in that particular goal. Then transparency and accountability. So here in this particular method, the number of biases reduces automatically. Why? Because everything is simply written down in very transparently in a concrete manner. The similar thing happens in other methods also, like MBO also. But here it becomes much more transparent because this is your statement, this is how you have to be measured for your goals. Everything is written down neatly and everybody is aware in the organization. The communication has happened, the top management, the functional heads, the reporting manager, the person who's review ho raha hai. Everything is written down so nice. Right? So this is how things are being done for OKRs. 100% accountability is being given to the person who has to perform it. Then celebration and learning. Because you are measuring these objectives on a timely basis, weekly or usually weekly, so you can really see whether people are able to achieve their goals or not, right? And as and when you have the opportunity, you can actually learn to celebrate people's performance. So, for example, in first quarter, you have seen that your first quarter performance is much better than what you were anticipating. 10 crore करना था अपने business, you have actually done 15 crores already because you put in your lot of efforts and the circumstances, other things, everything, the environment, internally, externally, was in favor of you. Everything was going smooth, streamlined, no such problems. So you could achieve 15 crores instead of 10 crores. Now, what will happen for the next quarter? You are happy that your number of crores that you have to achieve in the next quarter is less, right? Even if, so you strive for 10 crores even now, but even if you're not able to achieve 10 crores and you achieve 8 crores, still you're ahead of your goals. So this gives you a chance of learning side by side, celebrating side by side, and ensuring that you're on a right track all the time. Then आता है OKR, sorry, this method is flexible and it can be adapted in the organization industries anytime. You name a company and it can be implemented. You don't really have to worry about the environment. You don't have to really worry about the culture because this method is so transparent and everything can be written down in a form of a format, right? You just have to introduce a form. It can be a manual form, it can be a software, any which ways. You just have to put across their uh, what do you call it, statements, objectives, and their measurement tools. That's it. Nothing else needs to be done. And as an HR, you just need to monitor whether the reviews are happening on time to time basis or not. That's it. Then everything then happens at the time of evaluation, which is after a year, and everybody is aware that what they need to be doing because all the data is gathered on a weekly or bi-weekly or monthly basis when the reviews are happening. So you have all the figures and facts, how person achieved the goals, what did he do, what kind of efforts he or she put in, what behavior they showed in, what kind of skills they had shown, what kind of problems they encountered, how they really overcome those problems or challenges. So all these things can be captured very nicely on a weekly basis or a monthly basis as well, right? Now, how this is being done? You set performance expectations for people, cascade goals, like I have already told you, provide feedback, very importantly. Then you do the evaluation whenever the time is, whether 6 months or 1 year, and then you identify training and development needs. Right? So, this is how it is being done. Okay. So, this is talking about functional health responsibility. So now with OKR methods, all the evaluation methods are almost done. There is only one which is balanced scorecard method which is left. Again, balanced scorecard method takes a lot of time. So I'm giving you this as a assignment to do. So what you all have to do is check on internet, or if you have some books on HRM, there are a lot of books available on internet. Also, you don't have to buy something specifically if you're not following HR as a specialization. But TV Rao sir's books are very, very easy to read, and they're very basic English as well. So if you want to buy that, and I think its PDF version is available on internet as well. So what you have to do is do a research of balanced scorecard method of evaluation and create a small PPT out of it. Presentation. Not more than 3 slides, like I did. For each evaluation method, 3 slides, that's all. What 3 slides should talk about? Like we have done.
So, ma'am,
This is
when
the
we have to
method.
submit that assignment?
As soon as possible, in a week's time, next week,
Yes, ma'am, sure.
right? So tomorrow is not my class. Tomorrow, Hardik sir will continue the other topic, which is HR analytics. Sir will take that class. Next Saturday, I'll meet you again. Next Saturday, we will then 15 minutes, we will do your presentations, and then we'll move ahead with training and development.
Then balanced scorecard is the topic.
Yes, balanced scorecard.
Thank you.
Right? How 3 slides should be. One is your balanced scorecard method. So everything about the method you have to write down, not so much in details. I have given an example, so I have made it that way. Then what are the objectives of that particular method, the advantages of that method? What are the top companies that is using this method? You will easily find this. Just a matter of half an hour kind of a research. So in a week's time, whatever half an hour, whenever you can take it out, you will be able to get to know. Why I'm giving you this as an assignment? Because balanced scorecard is a wonderful method of performance management system. Again, utilized by many organizations, but organization who wants to keep it very specific in terms of people's result. Right? Usually, balanced scorecard talks about scorecard of an employee of an organization on 4 parameters. So these 4 parameters is what you will find. I'm just giving you hints a little bit so that you can be prepared well.
Ma'am, can you please repeat what all do we have to include in balanced scorecard? Like you said, objective, and
Just
then
3,
the rest
yeah.
of the 2 things
The
are to be.
first slide should talk about the method itself. What does this method all about? So the method generally will showcase you these 4 parameters on which we design. And then next slide, you need to talk about objectives and advantages of this method. And third is the example. So create your personal balance scorecard in third slide. I think
Okay,
that would be
ma'am.
good. Right? So in whatever job you are right now,
Okay, ma'am.
try and create your own personal balance scorecard on these 4 parameters.
Understood.
And then we'll see your presentation skills also. So because part of your course is your presentation skills, your communication, how you talk, so that whatever you want to convey is being conveyed. English, Hindi doesn't matter for my classes. Yeah, if you can try and speak in English, it would be good because most of the organization give advantage to people who talk in English. But even if you're good at speaking Hindi English mix and you're able to explain what you want to explain, I think that will solve the problem. Right? And the time for each individual to present the presentation is just 3 minutes so that we can complete it in 15 minutes time. Right?
Yes, ma'am. Clear.
Okay. So now this last
Noted,
slide
ma'am.
talks about, perfect. Thank you so much. Last slide talks about, suppose you're not HR manager. Now you're the functional head in the organization. What's your responsibility in the entire performance evaluation methods? So number 1 is setting performance expectations for your own departments, very importantly for everybody. How it comes down to be, if you are aware about your goals that has been given by the organization to you, you will be able to create your department's goals in a nice manner and in a designation, yeah, hierarchical form. That the senior manager is supposed to do this, and manager would be doing this, assistant manager, executive, similar to this, you write the expectations really well. This is how the responsibility of functional head happens in the thing. Then second is cascading goals. Cascading goals in the same sense that from top to bottom, it should showcase the responsibilities and the accountabilities given with each goal. Right? Because a senior executive and a senior manager cannot have a similar kind of goals. You understand that? So similarly, the functional head responsibility to write in a manner so that everybody understands that this is my role, this is what I am going to achieve for the organization, this is my contribution in the department to make it successful. Then providing feedback. Functional head becomes very crucial in providing feedback because they are subject matter experts in their own functional or departmental level. So their responsibility is to provide feedback to each and every employee who is reporting to them, not directly or indirectly, any which ways. Right? To talk about their accomplishment, acknowledge that, give them recognition, give them employee of the month, give them employee of the year, uh, give other rewards, maybe a pat on the back. We discussed about giving chits, thank you chits to somebody. Recognitions can be so many ways that can be given to the employees in the organization, and that's the functional head responsibility to induce certain things in the organization so that people under their team are happy, because they are not HR managers, but again they are playing a role of an HR manager for their own department, so they need to ensure that this is happening. The HR can be a strategic partner or point of contact, or this is what we call them, VPHR, which is people who are performing that role of understanding business processes and helping the functional managers in performing all these things in a nice manner. Then evaluation, performance evaluation is being done on a regular basis. That, okay, this is how we are going to evaluate your performance. And then identifying training needs and recognition, development, right? Knowing and signing all the things. So, for example, behavioral skills gaps hai, so that an HR can also do for the organization. But what about the functional gaps? मुझे कोई skill आता ही नहीं है. So there is something that is required to perform my job on the ground, but I don't know that skill. So who will take care of that? The functional head responsibility is to showcase and see and analyze where the team is lacking in the functional training and development needs. This is how they create their performance improvement plans on the basis of the needs and requirements. What is missing, what needs to be given to them. And then we recognize and reward their performance. We address their performance issues. The performance issues can be because of their not being able to perform the job, not being able to understand job responsibilities, environmental factors, personal problems, all those things is a problem of departmental head or functional head to ensure that right kind of coaching, counseling, and everything can be. What head can do, that one of my these person is not really performing good, that letter can go to HR. From there, they will design a training program, or they will see what other training programs are going on in the organization, and they make that person a part of that particular thing. So that's how the HR's role and functional head's role is aligned in the organization in managing performance management system, and all other things that we are going to talk about. Hi, so sorry. Today this is giving me too much of problem. Okay, so more or less this is done, right? I think the last one's line was left. So I'll quickly finish it. I know we have taken a lot of time. Then last 2 points talks about performance calibration. So performance calibration is being done. Again, it's a responsibility of the HR as well as the functional head. because functional head will give the information on functional responsibilities and what is not being done, and HR will ensure all the qualitative and other things that needs to be required, like behavior, like interpersonal skills, and all other skills like leadership, analytical, all these things that can be measured by HR in the company. So calibration means that both of them will sit together. They will ensure that the ratings are aligned as per the job responsibilities or not, and then there onwards they will start and design the entire program for improvement, training need analysis, all those things then will be done. This is how the collaboration with HR will happen. So both the points, last two, basically happens together. And then last is continuous improvement. So the organizational major purpose for performance management system is to see how continuously everybody's performance is happening in a right manner. Like, a Japanese method called Kaizen. Kaizen talks about continuous improvement. This is where we start giving trainings to overall organizations on how to improve, how to bring Kaizen into performance management system or managing performance in an organization, which talks about when to do reviews, how to make changes, how employees growth is happening, how after the growth or the promotion that we have given to the person, how again their performance is being monitored and controlled, all these things, how to make it more transparent, how the communication is happening to everybody in the organization. Imagine, if you see this happening for a, just visualize this particular method of OKRs happening for 20,000 employee company, right? How many HR people would be required to do this particular role? If it is happening through the help of a software, it becomes much more beneficial. All the software that is available in the market or the organizations can create and customize it accordingly as per their requirements also, then it works wonderfully well. Right? Because what happens with the software is you are able to gather the data very fast. People will just take few minutes of time to fill in the data. It can be collected very fast. You don't have to really put into a lot of efforts into manual forms, sending the form out and all these things. Majority of the time then HR managers and functional heads has to do in providing trainings on how we are conducting the performance management system in the organization. That's where job responsibility starts with, right? So this is about performance management system largely. I know we have done it really fast for HR people. We generally do it in 2 or 3 classes, but we have done it really, really fast here. So if you have questions, go through it, this PPT. I'm just sharing this PPT in the group. Next Saturday, come prepared for any questions. Because if you have understood this method, this particular topic really well, then only you will be able to understand analytics also, as well as learning and development.
Okay,
Because
ma'am.
learning and development mein, theory is very less. It is more about how to design programs, how you can design programs, then will come out from the needs and requirement that will come out of performance management system. Right? How will you give the training, how LMS is designed. So all the practical aspects are there more in learning and development. And performance management system is more theory right now. And then we will do form design and everything. I'll try and send out one of the forms also on OKR methods that we just very recently designed for an organization, so that you get to know how we create forms. Though we have done it on the software, but I'll still give you the draft of it, which we created in Excel format. Right? Thank you so much for being patient because of this electricity issue today. Yeah, because Wi-Fi gets
Thank you,
disconnected,
ma'am.
it takes time to come back. Thank you
Thank you,
very
ma'am.
much. See you
Thank
on
you,
next.
ma'am.
Yeah, thanks. Bye-bye.